Earlier this year, the big man Donkey Kong was in a 3D platformer by kings of the genre, Nintendo's 3D Mario team, for the first time. But he has a whole history of 2D platforming adventures. Question is, are they worth playing? Now, I've divided this, as always, into is it worth playing to sate your curiosity, and is it worth playing as a game in the year 2026? So we'll start with Donkey Kong, an arcade game, basically the origin of modern Nintendo. This was Miyamoto's big break. It introduced Donkey Kong, it introduced Mario, it basically introduced the concept of games having levels. Is it fun to play 50 years after the fact? So here's the thing, it's very stiff to control. If you've played anything made in the past 30 years, it's gonna feel really old. But there is a charm to it. Also, it's available on every Nintendo console basically for free, and you'll finish it in about 5 minutes. So, for curiosity, yeah, it's worth playing. For fun, I mean, there's a big community of people who are chasing high scores on arcade cabinets to this day. And those people don't need me to tell them they want to do that. Donkey Kong Jr., the oft-forgotten spin-off, you play as the titular Donkey Kong Jr., this time you're rescuing Donkey Kong from Mario. And the platforming is mostly moving from rope to rope, which actually does come back in later Donkey Kong games. For this one though, it's not that important, so I wouldn't say you have to play it out of curiosity, and I don't think it's fun enough that you have to play it. But obviously there's retro heads who are going to disagree with me. Donkey Kong 3, okay, this is a weird one. It's more like a Space Invaders or like a Galaga than a platformer. It's a fine one of those, and like, this is a weird place to see Donkey Kong. I actually would say this one is worth playing out of curiosity. I mean, it's not that fun. In 2026, I'm sorry. Donkey Kong, better known as Donkey Kong 92, was a Game Boy game that kind of came out of nowhere. For the longest time, people would bring this up as the hidden gem of the console and of the series. They're not wrong, it's incredible. When you turn it on, you might think it's just the original Donkey Kong arcade game, albeit with a little more spring in Mario's step. He's got that elasticity from the 3D Mario games. But this actually has like 100 levels of incredible platforming. Curious? Yes. For fun? Yes. I think this is on the Switch now, and it is absolutely worth slamming through. Then, Donkey Kong's big comeback, Donkey Kong Country. In the 90s, this game was so huge, because you might not think it today, but those graphics were mind-blowing. They love to tell you this was the computers that made Jurassic Park, using a, at the time, impressive technique of making 3D models, then basically saving pictures of them to make 2D sprites. Now we can debate until the cows come home whether this kind of 3D graphics actually looks good, or if you're better off with, artistically drawn sprites. But at the time, this was what Nintendo needed to compete with Sonic. For the longest time, I didn't actually like playing this game. If you play as Donkey Kong himself, it's pretty stiff and pretty hard. If you play as Diddy Kong, yeah, you can have some fun with this game. And it set the precedent for most of Donkey Kong's aesthetic, musical identity, the extended cast. So for curiosity, it's also an absolute must-play. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest. Now, people will tell you this one's better, and I was kind of shocked, because for me, okay, Diddy and Dixie Kong are both fun to play, which is one better than Donkey Kong in the previous game, sorry. But as a game, it has one too many gimmick levels for me, not enough just platforming. But there are plenty of people who would tell you this is the better one. I would say you don't need to play this if you've played the first game out of curiosity, but yeah, it's still pretty fun to play to this day. Donkey Kong Country 3, though, how can I put it? It's kind of the difficult third album, you know? It's a bit more of the same. They've kind of gone back to the one fast one, one slow one dynamic from the first game, but instead of the awesome Donkey Kong, it's the kind of gross Kiddy Kong. They've added a more elaborate map between levels, but that's just more busy work before the fun stuff. And again, it has a bit too much in the way of gimmick levels and unlockable coins and unlockable this and unlockable that and blah 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 blah. If you love Donkey Kong Country, then sure, it's a little bit more Donkey Kong Country, but for me, most of the characters it introduces don't hang around, so you don't need to play it for your curiosity. It's not as fun as any of the others, so I wouldn't even say you have to play it for fun. Oh, bonus round, there's also 3 Game Boy Donkey Kong Land games. Now these ones are weird. For most people would say, in the year 2026, on a Nintendo Switch, where you have access to the actual Donkey Kong Country games at the touch of a button, why would you play the Game Boy spin-offs? But also, they're kind of a little bit slicker, a little bit tighter. The lack of graphics to show off meant they could focus more on just platforming. So you get more levels of more clean jumping on enemies fun than you do in the SNES games. We only have limited time on this earth, we're all gonna die. Is it worth playing Donkey Kong Land, Donkey Kong Land 2, Donkey Kong Land 3? Check them out, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. A lot of people would think they are pure ports. They're not, they're their own games. Do you have to play them? No, obviously. That said, if you can get an actual Game Boy cartridge and bash through one of these on like a train journey, you're gonna be in heaven. Nostalgia blast, even if you didn't play them back in the day. Donkey Kong 64. This game was mega hyped back in the day. It's worth playing out of curiosity just to hear the legendary Donkey Kong rap in its original form. Playing it today, the huge amount of content was exciting when you were only buying one £60 N64 game per year. But now when you have hundreds of games for free at your fingertips, it kind of feels a bit like bloat. There's a lot of collectibles, a lot of this, a lot of that. Now, no one's saying you have to 100% every game on this list, so it's worth firing up. The rare platformers were a big deal back in the day, and this is an often overlooked game in Nintendo's history because it hasn't been that available since the original release. Now, the next time Donkey Kong came back in a platformer is the often overlooked Donkey Kong Jungle Beat.
Alright, let's see what they got. It's clean. Oh, they are smashing those drums. Let me know in the comments if you like this. It's flawless.
Now this game uses the bongos from Donkey Konga, but to control a platformer, it involves, you gotta stick to the beat, you gotta have good rhythm, and then when you get to punch something, it just it feels amazing. And this was basically the Mario Galaxy team. This is what they did before Galaxy. And you can see it, you can see some fur textures, some bee enemies, and most importantly, just boundless creativity. You know what team made this. If you're curious, you gotta check it out. If you want a good time, you gotta check it out. Unfortunately, you gotta play it on a GameCube. It literally uses the bongos. I think there's a Wii version, or maybe you can waggle the remote. I haven't tried it. I'm gonna tell you right now it ain't as good because bam, 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 slapping those things. Feels so good. Our next Donkey Kong platformer is actually not until the Wii, when Donkey Kong Country Returns popped along. This one was a surprise for me. Obviously I saw it in the magazines, but I wasn't that convinced. And then my auntie got it for me for Christmas. I think it's the last time I got a surprise video game Christmas present. I was like 19 or 20 already at this point. So it actually has a really special place in my heart just for that reason. It's very fun. They took Donkey Kong Country, they made Donkey Kong himself fun to control. I'm sorry, that's the case. He wasn't in Wild, he wasn't on the SNES, he is on the Wii. It slaps. Nowadays, you can play it on the Wii, you can play it on the 3DS, they even re-released it for the Switch. A lot of people will tell you the sequel is so much better that maybe they would say you skip this one. I don't know if I agree with that. I think Donkey Kong Country Returns is well worth the play, at least for fun. I don't know if it's important in the lore of Donkey Kong, in the history of the franchise, so maybe you can skip it if you're just trying to educate yourself. Then, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, the saving grace of the Wii U. It has the creativity of a 3D Mario, it has gorgeous HD graphics, it's got Donkey Kong, it's got Diddy Kong, it's got some sort of penguins, it's got bouncing on jelly, it's got a new idea every level. It's very good. Now you can play it on Wii U, you can play it on Switch. If you're in for a good time, yeah, give it a go. It's also the last retro Donkey Kong. I didn't mention that. Retro Studios, the Metroid Prime people, made Returns and Tropical Freeze. It's definitely worth playing one of them to sate your curiosity, and I think most people would say you should pick this one. I don't know if that's 100% true. I think there's a little bit more purity to the platforming in the first one, and this one has that 3-act Mario Galaxy structure, which is great, but a little predictable. And there you go. You got the Donkey Kong games worth playing for curiosity, the Donkey Kong games worth playing for fun, and hey, I'm not your mum. You want to play Donkey Kong King of Swing on the DS where you use the shoulder buttons to swing from pegs? Knock yourself out.